Well, it's Sunday morning, so it's time to find out what our competence of the week is. Well, so far we've had reflective, we've had creative, and now it's time for the competence of communicator. But what is communication? And what does it mean to be a good communicator? Well, communication is the act or process of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviours to express information or to express your ideas, thoughts, and feelings. But it's not just talk, no, far from it. In fact, 93% of communication is non-verbal. But what do I mean by that? Well, only 7% of what we communicate is expressed through the actual words themselves. 38% is expressed through our tone and volume and voice modulation, while a staggering 55%, over half, is conveyed from body language and facial expressions. So it's not what you say, it's how we say it. So we tend to think of communication as what we put out into the world, what we say. But actually, most of communication happens before we say anything at all. Let's do the maths. Oh, look at this lovely looking fellow, but there's something not quite right, is there? You see, as humans, we are designed to be very effective communicators. Think about us in comparison to other animals. So let's look at that design. We have two eyes, 1, 2 eyes. We have 1, 2 ears, but we only have one mouth. So which do you think we should use more? Our eyes, our ears, or our mouth? We do a lot of talking, don't we? But most of communication is about looking and listening. So for each of the competencies, we have a model, a sort of diagram that helps explain the competence and gives us clues as to how we can master it. And this is the WSO model of communication. And you can see there are 3 main stages to our model of communication, starting with attend, then think, and then we respond. So what do we mean by attend? Well, we mean give our attention. First of all, we have to be interested and curious about what is being expressed and shared, and remembering that what's being expressed and shared won't just be through words, but through voice and tone, and also facial expressions and body language. So we need to be focused and mindful. So focusing just on what they're expressing and not allowing other things to distract us. We need to look and give eye contact, because remembering 55% of what is being expressed through facial expressions and body language. So in order to understand someone properly, we need to make sure we're looking at them. And then finally, listening. That's a big part of communication and being attentive, isn't it? Next is thinking. Now, we don't want to respond before we've had a chance to think about what someone's saying, do we? And here, it's thinking about what's the important information? What do I think about that? What do I wonder about that? How do I feel about that? What do I want to achieve with my response? And therefore, how should I respond? And then finally, we're ready to respond. And we respond in a range of ways. We need to consider our facial expressions and our body language to make sure that they are expressing what we want to express. We need to consider our tone and our attitude, the vocabulary we're using, and the clarity of our voice. But finally, something I haven't mentioned yet, and that's context. Context means our current situation. So here, we need to be conscious of who you're communicating with. We all would probably communicate very differently to our closest friend than we would with Miss O'Regan. Where am I? If we're in a noisy playground, then we can afford to raise our voice. But if we're in a small one-to-one situation, we don't want to be shouting in someone's face. And what do I want to achieve? This is really important. Do I want that person to be my friend? Do I want that person to respect me? Then I need to communicate in a certain way. So we can see that communication isn't that straightforward, but we can follow these stages and master it. I think this quote's really interesting by Tony Robbins. To effectively communicate, we must realise that we are all different in the way we perceive the world and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. So pause the video and have a think. What's he trying to say? What can we learn from this quote? I think in order to be effective communicators, we have to understand that everybody has something to teach us, and we have to value what everybody has to say or share. Everybody understands the world in a completely different way, and if we can utilise their understanding and integrate it with our own, we're going to do very well indeed. So, this week I want you to focus on how you develop your communication competence. Don't forget, you need to attend, think, respond, and be aware of your context. Good luck.